Sorry, it's the end of the cricket season. You may have had a great season. You may not have had a season that you wanted to have. I worked with hundreds of cricketers over the last couple of years on a one-on-one basis. And trust me, about 99% of cricketers are frustrated, they're disappointed, and they're not happy at where they are. And a part of me really likes that. I really enjoy the fact that players aren't happy where they're at. They aren't settling for their levels. They're trying to get better day in, day out. However, you can go about it the wrong way. And I'm all for constructive feedback. I'm all for cricketers not being happy, not being satisfied. But there needs to be an action that actually makes you get better. The best cricketers, they zoom out, they analyze, and they build plans to make themselves get better. Today in this video, I'm going to give you a simple, structured way how you can review your season and then plan for you to get better the next following season. No fluff, no emotion, just a step-by-step breakdown on what you did, what you learned, and how you can get better. I personally think all cricketers should be doing an end of season review, because otherwise, how else do you know what you can improve on? How else can you put together a plan to work on things for the following season? However, an end of season review is not just something where you can go tear yourself apart. It's also not something where you can pump your own tires up and think, oh, how good am I? It is simply something that you must do in order for you to then maximize your next season. So let's get into it. The first thing you're going to do, you're going to get yourself a book, because you're going to need to have to write these things down. We have our 3 parts of the year. We have our 3 things we're focusing on, and you need to break this into 3 again. 3 simple questions I want you to ask yourself. What did you do well? What would I change? Or what could I have done better? And then what did I learn? I want you to answer all 3 of these things from all 3 of these phases of the year for those 3 components of your game. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of skill and craft. I want you to ask yourselves these questions. Did your training help you get better? What part of your trainings was valuable in actually making you get better? Did you train with the right intensity? Did you plan your trainings before going to training? What were your best and worst performances for the year? And why do you think you had those performances? You might want to look at stats and data, look at trends on how you got out, look at some of the scoring shots that you had. As bowlers, you might want to look at how you got your wickets, where you leaked runs, what technical things could I work on? That's what's going to go on your skill and craft. In your physical and lifestyle review, you need to review what were you doing for your gym sessions, running session. Were you powerful enough, as explosive enough? How about injuries? Did you have nagging injuries? Did you have niggles? Were you sore all throughout the year? How did you balance your workloads? How much energy did you have going into games? Did you fade in games? Did you have poor endurance? How about recovery? Were you recovering well after games? Were you sleeping well? Was your nutrition up to scratch? What foods did I eat during the game or before training that made me feel good and give me energy, and what foods didn't? Was I happy with how many times I was going to the gym? Was I running? My frequency of training? All great questions to ask yourself and review based on this part of the year. Mental and emotional side. Did you execute under pressure? What mental challenges did you face? Was it nerves, self-doubt, imposter syndrome? What did you do to overcome that? How well did you adapt to match situations? How well did you adjust to change? Did you get dropped? What was your response to getting dropped? What was your mindset going into games and trainings? What were you thinking at the top of your mark? What were you thinking before every ball? What technique did you use? Did you use visualization, self-talk, meditation, journaling? What made you feel good from a mental point of view? What stories were you telling yourself? What was the narrative inside your own head? All these things are great questions for you to ask yourself and write down in your review. Now, if you're struggling to think back to the start of pre-season, this should be a great learning curve for you, because you should always be writing things down in a journal every single week. And you should be basing these things off these 3 things. So every single week you should be reviewing, what do I do physically to make myself better? What worked, what didn't? What did I do to work on my craft? What was my mindset? If you're writing these things down in a training journal every single week, then this review is going to be a whole lot easier and a whole lot more accurate. Just do the best you possibly can for now, and then start that from today. The next step of your review is to ask for advice from your coaches on what you need to do to get better or to get to the level that you want to. Don't ask for feedback, because the feedback is a bit of a list of the things that you're good or bad at, and the chances are you already know that. However, asking for advice is a lot more actionable and a lot more practical, and it shortens the gap between where you are now and to where you want to go. Once you've done your self-review, you've talked to coaches and people that you trust, it's time to put together an actionable plan to make you better. There's no point doing this review unless it's actually making you better in the long run. From there, I want you to write 1 to 2 things that you want to focus on before the start of next season on each of these 3 categories. Number 1, skill and craft. Number 2, your physical and lifestyle. And number 3, your mental and emotional. If I know you probably want to write down 10 to 15 things. However, I'd rather do 1 to 2 things really, really well than 10 to 15 things poorly. It's all about quality, not quantity. Once you've done that, it's time to start executing. It's time to start putting things in place around your lifestyle. Maybe you might need some accountability. Maybe you might need some expertise in these areas to make you better. If that's the case, I've got links down below with all the information to my coaching. In person in Melbourne, online coaching, just strength and conditioning programs. All the links are down below. Feel free to have a read. Follow the links in there if you want to apply to join. No pressure though. I'm just going to ask you to do one thing. Take action on these things. It's as simple as that. You will not get better unless you put in the work to do so. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. But before you go, make sure you click that subscribe button because I know you haven't yet, so you don't miss out on more videos like this to help you elevate your gamer career. Because that's all I want you to do, is to have the best season of your life the next time you go out onto the cricket field. Thanks for watching, guys.